Hi, good morning. Welcome to High Press Play. I'm trying to do a video from my truck. I'm on the road. As you may know, if you've seen some of the other episodes, we've only got a few out so far, new channel. But heading to the World Cup eventually in Seattle and Vancouver. But I've got the mountain bikes and fly rods with me. I'm in southern Idaho right now, heading, going to be fly fishing and mountain biking here and in Oregon, and then eventually on the 11th I'll be in Seattle. But anyway, I wanted to talk today about the U.S. defensive problems, because I think we all know we've got to fix that. So we did a reaction to the Senegal match. That was a great match, but the problem is we're giving up too many goals. So in 3 games, we've given up 9 goals. And if you want to start trying to figure out what that is, and again, a lot of these videos I put out, including really starting the channel, had to do with so many people, talking heads from the American, I don't have to name them all, you know who they are, and just so many people, even people I know, just flippantly saying, oh, it's the back line, or it's this guy, or it's that guy. And it's like, yeah, no, it's not that simple. It's a little more than that. And so I'm going to talk about what I think the problem is, and you'll hear people mention, and it is correct if they say we're vulnerable in transition moments. So we'll talk about what that means, because I think that is a problem. Now, there are problems with some individuals over these 9 goals, and I don't want to pick on people, but I'll give you some examples. Like against Belgium, Arston just got beat one-on-one by Luca Bacchio. He let him come to his strong left foot, which he shouldn't do. You keep a left footer to his right. I talked about that in the first video in depth. And then Luca Bacchio's second goal, which was their 5th goal, that was just kind of a fumble by Berhalter that, we kind of had it covered well, and then Berhalter just kind of had a bad touch and went right to Luca Bacchio, slammed it in the net. A lot of the other goals were 4 of the other goals that we gave up in those 2 games, the Belgium and Portugal game, kind of came, one was a corner kick, but 3 others came like through Doku, which were shots on goals. They were deflected out, and then we didn't get out quick enough. Like as a unit, we didn't get out quick enough. And then there's always that one guy. I think in the first one against Belgium, Pochettino was mad at Balogun for not aggressively getting there to block it. He was the closest guy, and he just didn't commit to the block. I think it was Tillman in the second one that Onana scored. Same kind of play, a shot, deflected out. And then against Portugal, we did it again, where Fernandez chipped way out to João Felix. He had all day, had a bad touch, and it took us forever to get out there, and nobody blocked the shot. Now, I noticed we did a better job of that, like getting out to a dangerous outside shot and blocking it. I can't remember. It may have been Weah or somebody that did it against Senegal. But hopefully we're learning on that. So that's just one thing. But more in transition, and, so let me go back real quick to those games. There was a kind of a tactical goal that we gave up against Portugal. It was their first goal. And that was more, it was kind of a transition moment. We lost the ball cheaply near midfield. That was one where like Freeman had this crazy dribble that he lost control, and he gave a bad pass to McKinney. But then McKinney gave a bad pass right into Vitinha, who fed Fernandez. Then we had 3 guys, it's actually 4 guys, chasing the ball late. Trusty ran into a double team behind Richards, which he didn't need to. He didn't see Trincao behind him. Fernandez beat both of them with a back heel, and then here come Anthony Robinson and Aiden Morris late to pick up Trincao. He was like in the middle of a triangle of players by himself and slotted that one in. That was just a full like team tactical breakdown where like a lot of guys were just late to sniff out the danger. So in speaking of that, it's transition moments usually where we're getting guys forward up the field, which is great. We've got these wing backs that are really doing good at attacking, guys like Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson and Weah, that are all, we like when we play 3 in the back. That allows those wing backs to really attack more. I talked about that in the pregame for Senegal, and that's kind of how we lined up with a 3-back, and you had Dest and Robinson attacking out of the wing back, and you see how effective it is. But the problem is when they get forward and then they lose the ball. So that first Senegal goal was actually Anthony Robinson got forward. He tried to do this cheeky little pass through the legs, and just for clarification, people say that's a nutmeg. That's not a nutmeg. Okay, just for clarification, a nutmeg is when you put the ball through a guy's legs, you run around him, and you get the ball back. That's a nutmeg. A pass through the legs is not a nutmeg. But anyways, he kind of had that scenario. He kind of got the ball through a guy's legs. I think it was supposed to be a pass, and he lost the ball, and then that was the transition moment beginning. If you can go back and watch that goal, you'll see that there is when the transition moment began. And transition moments can be covered in what you would call a counter press. So a press is when the other team has the ball, usually starting from the goalie or one of the fullbacks. You know, imagine the goalie rolling it out to like an outside back or a center back who's wide, usually where the attacks start. Because most attacks start out of the outside back position, whoever it is out there. And that's usually where you can start a high press, okay? You can go into a high press from them when they have some control of the ball. They've already had it, and then you all collectively high press. And, you know, keep in mind that imagine yourself on the field. If you're a striker or a defender or a midfielder, and I've mentioned before that I play all these positions. I've played them all in my different stages of my career. And as a forward, you have to know that the high press starts with you. Everybody's queuing off of what the forward players, like the strikers, do. If the goalie rolls the ball out to an outside back, and the forwards say, well, I'm going to high press, I'm starting a high press. And they go, it's the visual cue that everybody behind you, the midfielders and everybody else, they're now going to step up and press. Like if the forward doesn't have time to get out there, there's too much space, and he sets back, everybody else shouldn't be pressing at that point. Because then what happens? Then if you have defenders that start to press or midfielders, you have space in behind you now because you're trying to press, and the guy with the ball, say the outside back, has got all day because the forwards aren't pressing. He pings the ball over your head, and you get beat in behind. So it's all visual cues. The people behind the players, like let's just say it's, you know, Adams and Berhalter and any of our defenders, and even our wingbacks, seeing that say Pulisic and Balogun and McKinney or Pepe, Tillman, whoever up there, they start pressing. On that visual cue, you go and press. Okay, so that's how the high press should look from a team high press. And then let's say they high press the outside back. In the midfield, what you can do is then you front your guy. If you see that the only outlet is the center mid, guys like Berhalter and Adams, they could literally go in front. Don't wait for the guy to get the ball in midfield. Actually front him. Go get in front of him and intercept that ball where they're going to try to outlet into that midfielder. So just little nuances of the high press. And when you see us doing that, watch the game tactically and see who's not doing their job. You can pick out guys who missed their job on like a high press. Well, let's say like when Robinson lost the ball. Now this is different. This is when we have the ball and then we lose it. And it'll happen over and over again in the game where our attacking players lose it. If you try to get the ball quickly, again, like Pep Guardiola style, you know, he was all over this system with all his teams, started with Barcelona, you get the ball back immediately. Like he had a thing where like he gave the guys, they had like 6 seconds to get the ball back in training, and it was like a penalty, you know, whatever the punishment was if they didn't get it back. So they trained to counter press. So right after you lose the ball, the other team gets the ball, then you try to get it back right away. And that's kind of what we're not recognizing. We're not recognizing the counter press. So even if one guy goes, you know, not everybody's doing it together. So it's a team thing to counter press and get the ball back. And what happened in that goal was that Robinson lost the ball, and then that defender who got it from him started going down the field. And in my head, I was thinking, God, just chase him down or at least foul him. Just stop this counterattack they're on. And he didn't. He kind of half-heartedly chased him. He played it into a midfielder who was not being counter-pressed. we let, whether it was it wouldn't have been Adams because he was the one marking Mane who scored. So say it was Berhalter. I'd have to go back and watch the tape to see who didn't pick up that midfielder in our counter press. But we let that guy get the ball. He fed Mane. Tyler Adams was on him, but just wasn't good enough. It was actually a great play by Mane. He scored. He did a great job to beat Tyler, who was right on him, and then also beat Turner. And I don't think Turner could have got. It was another good shot right up against the post. We seem to be suffering these shots that go right up against the post, ping off the post. We've had a lot of those against us in the last 3 games. But anyways, it was more of a chain reaction of guys not recognizing the counter press and getting it done, and filling in, fronting guys. Robinson just not tackling that guy immediately. And another part of it is just being more stingy with the ball. So our attacking players and I talked about it in my first video. If you want to go back, I have video evidence of both those games, Portugal and Belgium, where how many mistakes we made and how many times we just gave the ball up cheaply. I mean, there was one I pointed out in there where Belgium had the ball way down at the end line. Like, I think Pulisic had a run. They got the ball, and the guy's way down by the end line by the penalty box. And here comes Tillman kind of jogging over to do a counter press. It's supposed to be a counter press. And he just gets dribbled by a defender. And he like stuck his leg out. It was a really horrible effort. And then that sprung all the way back over to Doku. That ended up being a shot on goal for them. You know, if I was playing behind Tillman and I saw he looked like he was going to counter press and he just got dribbled, I'd be like, dude, do a better job. Like, stick the guy, foul him, get the ball, or go sit on the bench and eat orange slices or something. I don't care, but do your job. And we miss out on a lot of that. So when you watch the game, watch the guys off the ball too, what they're doing. Like, I gave Pepe credit in the Senegal game because as a number 9, and I used to do this, I love doing this, he was chasing defenders down, and I love that. When they're playing the ball white, I mean, he's kind of giving those guys fit. He's not just up there jogging around. That's what I hated about Rashford for Man U. He just looked like he was 5 yards from a guy with the defender to have the ball, and he wouldn't go hammer him. Like, put an effort in, even on when you're a number 9 or an attacker, you've got a defensive responsibility to do as well. And you go back, I encourage you guys to watch these games more than once. You'll learn a lot from watching them more than once. To do those videos I did, Portugal and especially Belgium, I watched that game like 10 times. But you'll learn so much about the team and what guys are doing and who's really messing up and all that. But so I'm thinking, like, what could we do to, like, what could Pochettino do to alert these guys to the fact that there's a counter press starting? Like, this is the critical moment. And I'm thinking, like, I don't know, maybe like shock collars. How about shock collars? You know, like, you know how, like, you can use them on a dog. That's how you train a dog not to go near a rattlesnake. You know, you actually get a rattlesnake with no fangs and you put a shock collar on a dog. And so then when the dog goes near the snake rattles, you shock the dog, and then he knows, don't go near the snake. So, like, Pochettino could have a little remote, and, like, right when that counter press moment starts or that transitional moment starts, he could just shock everybody. Not a long shock, just a quick shock. Just give them a shock, and then they know. Transition moment. Because you talk about that ahead of time. Shock, transition moment. Be plugged in. And then, you know, I don't know. I mean, problem is you'd have guys, you know, there are these dad coaches that see that, and then they'd start, like, you'd have that crazy dad on the sideline using them on the kids. I'd be shocking the kids all day. I mean, and the other thing is, like, some of these guys, like, if you shock them too hard, they probably piss their pants. You could piss your pants, you know? I mean, so then you'd have to wear, you know, have to wear diapers. We'd have to have, like, USA diapers with, like, a big flag, you know, like striped red and white diapers with, like, big star in the middle. And then I imagine if we won the cup like that, and, like, we're lifting the cup at the end. Picture us lifting the cup at the end. Everybody's got, like, a shot collar on and, like, a USA diaper. Yeah, okay. All right, I digress. That's... Or, you know, the guys could just recognize on their own, these paid pro soccer players could recognize they're in a transition moment. Just on your own, as a team, recognize you're in a transition moment and stop giving up goals. You know, and we could try this against Germany. You know, got a game against Germany, and we could try to maybe keep a clean sheet, because if we could do that, I mean, we're dangerous. We have a dangerous attacking team. And I love playing with a 3-back and wing backs that can attack. I mean, it was really fun to watch against Senegal, but the danger there is that these guys turn the ball over cheaply, and then they don't recognize the transition moment, their counter press goes to shit, and then we end up giving up a goal. And that's kind of been our problem. So, but if we can stop giving up goals, I mean, I think we are a dark horse team, and I think we could do well in the tournament.